Hello. Welcome along to Adventures in Pop. This is Simon Jacobs, and you have joined me for episode 100. And I think for that reason, unusually, help yourself to a glass as well, because otherwise I'm going to be the only one drinking. But cheers, and maybe even more importantly, I think sometimes it's worth, celebrating an important, anniversary. So I have brought, as you can see, a rather strange cheesecake in a plastic case there, but what a gorgeous candle that is. So look, happy birthday, Adventures in Pop. This is episode 100. My name is Simon Jacobs, and you are frightfully welcome. Look, we have got some things to talk about, so I will just put this down for a moment and hopefully, not set fire to the studio. If you see flames suddenly just racing around behind me, then probably best to let me know, I suppose. It seems wrong to blow it out, doesn't it? I'm just going to pop that over there. Okay, I think that can look after itself. I'm going to take a little sip of a rather unusual, thing to do in the middle of recording, have a glass of wine. It's just everything's just gone to pieces, really, hasn't it? As I say, probably best for you to have a glass as well. Otherwise, I'm going to just feel a bit self-conscious about it. So look, in today's episode number 100 of Adventures in Pop, did I mention that already? I want to talk about my brand new single, which is coming out on Friday. That's going to be the 24th of February, Earth time. If you coming back to this from a million years into the future. But I also want to just do a little recap of kind of what Adventures in Pop is about. What's the mission? What's the purpose here of spending time, chatting away to you once or twice a week in a rather, chaotic fashion quite often? Well, part of the reason is to just talk about stuff I'm releasing, and it could be stuff of mine, or it could be songs that are Rothman and Jacobs or Gold Hot Foxes. So there are kind of three separate projects that are going along, simultaneously, and are quite different from each other. I think they will each have a completely different sound, and I want to just draw people's attention to those songs. But I guess the thing that actually I find just as interesting and fun to talk about is to talk about other aspects of either the business of pop music in the modern era in 2023. What's it like being an independent musician? Trying to make some progress in this crazy world of streaming of all things music. When there's, when it's very, very easy to put stuff out and very, very difficult to get anyone to take any notice. Certainly very difficult to earn a living, I think. But also, I've spent time talking a little bit about, the creative process, the actual art of writing a song, the art of arranging. So what I don't do is what so many other people do very well on YouTube, and you can find examples of this all over the place. I don't talk about the technology. I don't talk about the plugins I've bought. I don't talk about compression, EQ, and how to mix or master, because basically I'm still learning, and there are plenty of other people who do that stuff very, very well, and I don't really want to kind of get into that, kind of all the technical aspects. I'm really interested in how do you know you've got a good idea? What happens if you haven't got any good ideas and you're looking for inspiration? What do you write about? How do you know if you've got a good enough chorus? How do you know if it's a good song? How do you know if it's finished? Where does your song come from? What genre are you writing in? How do you use samples with the songwriting process? So over the last 100 episodes, we've done things like I've tried to kind of take you live through the construction of a song. That was quite interesting because it turned out to be a song that ended up being released. That was fun. We've talked quite a lot about other people's careers. We've talked about, let me see, Adele and Ed Sheeran. The other day I talked about Rihanna at the Super Bowl halftime. Anything that's kind of making the news. We've talked about how difficult it is to make a living on Spotify. Funds, YouTube, pretty much exactly the same. So, on the other hand, I'm not here to just gripe and be grumpy about how tough it is for the poor independent artists to kind of make their way, because I think you know that when you start out that it's going to be, it's going to be a 1,000 to 1 shot, isn't it? To really make a success of this, and I'm still I'm just going to keep going basically. And for those of you who don't know me terribly well, I mean I'm releasing tracks at the moment that are going to be on an album that I will call 5 because it is my 5th album, and even saying that sounds pretty strange because I mean 5 albums that will be something in the region of 60 plus individual songs. And obviously, for every 60 songs that get released, there's another, 180 that probably don't. You'll be relieved to know. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, just writing songs and trying to work out if they're any good and if they're going to appeal to today's audience, and the whole thing about trying to be contemporary, which is quite difficult when you get to a certain age. Because my musical influences tend to be from before this century. Makes it sound like we're talking about the Victorian era, but I'm not. So there's plenty to discuss and plenty of very interesting areas to go to. So look, I'm enjoying it. Stay on board. There's tons more coming around the corner. There's actually loads more music being released over the next months and years. Some of which I already know about, some of which, obviously as yet unwritten. But I've got quite a lot in the can, and so has Gold Hawk Foxes, so has Rothman and Jacobs. So if you hate it, it's just going to stay horrible. What I'd like to do, just before we turn our attentions to the brand new single, Every Step, which is coming out on Friday, and I know you are going to love it. Something caught my eye the other day, which I thought was just very curious. Spotify give you information about demographics, i.e., how old your audience is. Location is one thing, where they live around the world, even which cities are listening to you. But in the demographics, one of the things that's really interesting is they now break it down into male, female, and non-binary. And I only mention that because the thing that caught my eye was just how high the non-binary figure is for people, for the percentage of, I think it's a percentage of my followers being non-binary, and I think it was 20%. It's just come down a little bit to 15%. There may be not so much followers, but people who are listening. So over the last month, people who've listened. And I compared that to Gold Hawk Foxes, which is about 1%, and Rothman Jacobs, also about 1%. And yet you go to the Simon Jacobs page on Spotify for artists, that is. I don't think you can, actually. I just have to tell you about it. And as I say, 15 or 20% of non-binary. And I mean, I guess it could be inaccurate, and people could just be putting down whatever they want to put down, and I shouldn't take it that seriously. But at the same time, if I have got lots of non-binary people listening to my music and enjoying it, I feel very honoured. So thank you. I think it's great. So tell your other non-binary friends and get them to join in, because I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about Every Step, huh? Right, I have actually mentioned this song before, and if you go back to episode 89, I did look that up before we started. If you go back to episode 89, you will see me have a little go at playing it on the piano. I play about half of it on the piano. And I was doing that partly because brand new piano, and I was very excited. I just wanted to play something. and that's the song I chose because it's not a very difficult song to play. It's quite a slow song. It's, again, a bit of an epic chorus. And as I have mentioned before, I wrote it in one go as I walked on Christmas Day of 2021 from a friend's house back to my house after a nice long lunch and a few drinks. I walked all the way home. It was a good hour and a half, 2 hours walk. And I think this song just sort of started suggesting itself to me. And then, I was worried I was going to forget it by the time I got home. So I think I just kept repeating it over and over and gradually filling in more and more of the words. And by the time I got home, I think it was possible to pretty much, run into here and put the machines on and start sort of recording it, or at least recording something that then became it. And also I do remember, I think I recorded the vocal and have barely changed the vocal since the day it was recorded. And so, okay, so what do I want to say about the song? The song is a song about, I suppose, about, regrets and the suggestion of love that's gone wrong or something. It's not particularly explicit, actually. And I think, but the thing that I like about it is that I recorded a vocal, and I'm not here to say it's, the most incredible, best vocal ever recorded ever in the world ever, but having recorded it, I knew that if I did it again, it would be different, but I wouldn't get the same, whatever it is. Some people might call it magic. Some people would absolutely not call it magic at all, particularly once they've listened to it. But what my point is, though, that sometimes you just manage to create a mood in the way that you've performed something. It could be the singing or the playing of an instrument. And you know that you could probably make it technically better, but it would lose something. It would lose some of the spontaneity of how it felt, kind of the first time it's forming in your mind and in your mouth, so to speak. So this is one of those songs where I never wanted to go back and re-record the vocal because, I just didn't want to spoil it. I liked what was recorded straight away, and I do think there is something to be said for the first attempt at your song is sometimes, I guess, the purest, because you haven't started changing bits in retrospect. This is just how it's come out. It's the rawest version of your song available. And in particular, I would like to draw your attention to the verse that comes just after the first chorus, where I just think I'm singing quite quietly, and the whole song goes from a big epic chorus down to this little verse after the chorus. So that's all I want to say about the song. You're going to hear it in a second, so you can be the judge of whether it's any good or not. I do want to say something about the video. The video, very interesting. Well, I used a little bit of what was recorded when I played the piano back on episode 89. I kept a little bit of that, interspersed that with going outside on a night in December when here in West London it snowed. Now, we had a guest staying with us from Hong Kong. She'd arrived a few days earlier, and one thing she said, because obviously it was December and it was getting cold, she said, "Oh, I'd love to see some snow. I've never seen snow actually come down from the sky." And I said, you'll be lucky. Here in West London, it doesn't really snow very much. Maybe once every year or 2 years, certainly not in December, don't be daft. It might snow maybe in February if you're lucky. 6 days later, it's really snowing, and you will see how much it's snowing in this video. So we put on our coats. It was evening, it was 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and out we went into the snow. And then the idea was suggested that maybe I should think about this video. So we just recorded filmed a bit of me just walking about, looking a little bit aimless and probably a bit cold. And it works really, really well with this song. So it was not difficult to put this video together. So look, I'm going to leave it there. I just want to say once again, happy birthday to Adventures in Pop, and here's to another 100 of these. Can you imagine? Can you bear it? Thank you for the journey so far. We have only just begun, as they say, and there's plenty more to come, as long as I haven't, by episode 101, burnt my house down. So I'm going to love you and leave you with the brand new single out on Friday this week, which is going to be the 24th of February, and the song is called Every Step, and I hope you like it. Here's the video. Bye-bye.
Every step that I take on this winding road is one step further away from you. Now the night is dark and the wind blows cold, but I'll keep walking, don't know what else to do. I've said that have brought me here on my darkest day. It's like a film that repeats in my head, and I can't bear to look, but I can't turn away. Oh, the night plays tricks with your eyes. Things change shape as I get nearer. Oh, the night with all the secrets and lies. And every street lamp wouldn't make it any clearer. And trust, tiny thread, just a single thread, and when it's dead, it's dead. And you must, you said, take care where you tread. But I did whatever I wanted instead. And every step on this winding road, I guess there's a truth that I might discover. Sometimes I feel like time goes so slow. Oh, it speeds right up, I don't know, it's one or the other. Oh, the night plays tricks with your mind. Seeds of doubt that only get stronger. Oh, the night, that's when I will find that I can't live without your love any longer. Plays tricks with your eyes. Things change shape as I get nearer. Night with all the secrets and lies. Every street lamp wouldn't make it any clearer.